Hello everyone and welcome to this review of not only the Titanic movie but a special little showing here of these photos, which are, as you see here, Titanic photos, story of the shoot. This is actually from the movie. We'll be reviewing the movie in honor of the sinking of the Titanic, which really began on April 14th. Today, the day I'm making this video and publishing it, and which finished in the early hours of April 15th. So, as you can see here, we have both the standard Blu-ray edition, we have a DVD copy, we have the Back to Titanic soundtrack, my model that's not finished of the ship yet, and of course the photos. So let's get started with the movie review. So as you can see here, we have the Blu-ray, which comes with the digitally remastered movie DVD and a digital copy, and it's pretty nice, and it's got a lot of special features here, and it's a 4-disc set, and as you'll see when I open it up, we can see why. So if anybody wants that digital code, you can take it if you can see it, because I never use those. We have the feature film and some special features on one disc. That is the special features Blu-ray disc, and then we have the movie on, as you can see here, 2 discs. And what I like about the movie here and on this one is that for the DVD copies, they really did make sure that it was a 2-disc affair. So the DVDs are actually in very good quality. So with that being said, let's just review the movie real quick. So the story begins when Brock Lovett, I believe that, as I recall the character's name, takes the mirrors down in the opening credits of the movie to the Titanic to find a what was it? Oh yeah, the safe in Kaladin Hagi. I can't even say the guy, Billy Zane's character's name right. His stateroom. When they bring it to the surface, they don't find what they're looking for, but they do find a picture with what they're looking for in the case, and it's from Jack Dawson here, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, with a very revealing Kate Winslet in the picture with a really large diamond, and the date of April 14th, 1912. This, of course, is shown on TV, and we see the current day Rose discovering it and basically calling them up. At first they don't believe her at all. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. And basically they get surprised. They bring her out and she starts to explain everything about what happened, which goes into past points about how she felt like a prisoner on board the Titanic for, being brought back because she was basically forced into an arranged marriage with Cal. And of course, at the same time, Leo's character wins a ticket in a poker game and has to rush to get on the ship along with his friend. Once on the ship, eventually their two paths cross when Rose has had enough and is about to commit suicide off the stern of the ship right about here, and he saves her. She does make a joke about wanting to see the propellers, so that's kind of funny. And then, of course, the rest of the movie is spent until the Titanic hits the iceberg right about here, pretty good long distance, and starts to sink, with Jack and Rose having to come to grips with who they are and everything, and then, of course, Cal not wanting to give up, and the whole modern day people listening to the story trying to realize what she's going through. Cameron did a great job on the movie, by the way. I don't really want to spoil anything. I do think people should watch it. Remember, this did win, I think, what was it, like 12 out of 14 Oscars? I can't remember the exact number anymore. Wait, oh, here it is. Actually, it won 11 Oscars and tied with about 2 other films that I know of, including Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and Ben-Hur. Those are the only 2 I know of. I think there might have been a 4th, but I can't be sure. But, it's kind of good seeing that. So, a lot happened. And, as you can see here, there's a lot. I actually do like having both soundtracks. Unfortunately, I'll have to find the original. As you can see here, there's a lot of songs and stuff. There's actually a lot. So this is pretty cool. The movie just kept getting better. Now, the reason I have 2 versions, both an original DVD and a Blu-ray is that there are also certain features on both discs. The only copy I don't have in the Blu-ray is the 3D copy, and I'm kind of wondering when they will do a 4K copy of the movie. But I felt I'd show them off too. There's a nice little reveal, and just how much of a collector I am. There's also some other Titanic memorabilia and shows and stuff I have, but I felt I would wait until basically, you know, like next year or something, you know, or I feel like doing those. But either way, we're going to show off what we have here. And as you can see here, it's a pretty nice box that this collection comes in. And look here, we have all the special features and content. I put a new light so we can see stuff easier. The films were remastered at this point too, so a special collector's edition. I'm very happy to own this. We open it up and we have Leo and Kate. As you can tell, it's really nice, and I'm very happy to still own this. And then we open up to not only the entire list of all the special features, in which a few of these are not on the Blu-ray, by the way, which is another reason why I really wanted to get my hands on this. And as you can see here, there's a lot of content. I'll probably watch this today too. And like I said, the quality is very good, and as you can see here, it's in very good condition. I actually do try to keep it that way, and I just like having it because it's very nice, you know, and you know, it's very good, and it's just a great movie. Now we come to the special thing, which is the photo shoot. Now the story behind this right here, as you can see, I hope you can read it all very efficiently and well, is an actual photo shoot. And I got this, believe it or not, at the RMS Queen Mary. I'm actually a little afraid to even go through this right now just because of what it is, and I don't want to really ruin it. But let's take a look at the photos so you can actually see this is something that was real. Like I said, I got these at the RMS Queen Mary. See right there. Now we're going to go, and it gives you an idea on just how much work went into the movie and also what they had to do to build the sets. And this is cool. And as you can see here, there was a lot of work that went in. I'm not sure if these have been shown on YouTube yet, but as you can see here, a lot of work. And you'll also notice a few things as these go through that will surprise you, because they could only build really one whole side of this ship for some of the sequences they were doing, and you'll understand why that's kind of important later on. Although I still find it kind of funny. Anyways, we're going through, and you'll start to see what I mean. It's pretty cool. Here we go. Just the detail work alone is incredible with what they did here. I mean, it's so lifelike. It's like you went back to 1912 and stuff. And, you know, the fact that there's the actual ship here, you have actual carriages and stuff. It's really cool. We're going to go through the whole set. I'm going to try not to make this video super long, but I do want to do a few other things. And as you can see here, there's just a lot of work that went into this movie. I mean, a lot. I mean, look at that. And these are actual actors and stunt and other people. There's one of the camera people who was, I believe, actually seen in the film. One of the police from England and stuff. And just the work here that went into just this one sequence. And look right there. Yep, see? There's Billy Zane. There's Rose. There's her mother. And the actress did such a good job basically being a you-know-what that it just works. And I love the car and everything. And we're going to see some stuff in time. I mean, this is amazing work that they did. And notice this. This right here should prove it. Notice that the license plate number is backwards. That's because when they did the shot, they actually had to reverse the film when they were doing that shot. Like I said, they only had one side of the ship for the sequence, so they had to really work. And look, there's I believe, yeah, that's James Cameron, I believe. And Digital Domain was one of the big problems. See, look, even White Star is backwards. That's how much work they had to do, because they could only do one side. They had to make choices. So they actually did a lot of really good film trickery, which is really great. And it gives you an idea on just... And remember, this was a $200 million film at the time of making. And the work and stuff, too. And, there's Leo. There's Leo. I mean, look at that. That is so cool. And also, look here. You can actually see where part of the ship has not been built. Remember, they can fill stuff in with CG and stuff later. So, but this did save them some money in the long run. So, it really did work. I mean, there's so much work. And look here, and plus the shoots actually went to when they were sinking the ship. The cool part is you can see here is that they were able to sink entire sections, and then they just filled in what they needed. But that's the other reason why the film is so expensive, because look, they really were sinking large sections of this ship that they made. I mean, look at that. I don't care who you are. That's pretty incredible. And that's another reason why I believe the film was so expensive. And then it just does that. So this is a very nice thing. I definitely don't show it to a lot of people. I'm afraid it'll get stolen or damaged. So you guys are like some of the first people to actually see this. And I'll be putting this back in its back in its protection stuff. So I hope that's a real treat for everybody. So, you know, we had such a loss of life. This ship changed the world completely and utterly. And as you can tell, I'm still putting finishing touches on the model and stuff. There's a few things I'm not happy about. But I'd say the work is pretty good. It's still passable. I mean, unless you're like going up close. You know, there's still even some pieces here that I haven't put in, mostly because I still have to do some work on the decking, and I'm still deciding if this color is the right one for the deck in my model. But we do know some things. So first of all, let's just talk about what Cameron had to go through for the film, because he really did go through a lot. Like I said, he had to build almost this entire ship to make the film. And the actors, they felt like they were on the Titanic. Many of them have said that. And it brought a realism that you just don't get nowadays. And it was just incredible. And even still to this day, it's incredible. So it was just incredible. And if you look closely, this is about right around here where she broke in, because this whole section right here is what was originally what originally broke off when she broke in two. You know, it was just incredible. And Cameron had to basically, you know, he had to go through a lot to make this film work and to make everything work. This is about where I believe the grand staircase is located. And I should point out that Cameron found out a lot about the film, and he kept going back for documentaries and stuff. He's an actual wreck diver, and as you can see, again, like, I'm not done. I'm kind of worried about a little work here. Basically, one of the things he did with the film that he found out, and this is like a little trivia if you don't know of it, is that when he was doing stuff with the grand staircase during the set sinking, they had built everything practically to scale, and even down to the same kind of wood, nails, and everything in the set. That's the same way it was on the real ship. And when they sunk that part of the set, the whole grand staircase actually came out. They had to reinforce it so it would not be a threat. They actually found out later that this is probably what really happened, because the staircase is gone in real life down on the ocean floor. And some people have reported when the ship sank that they were actually finding pieces of the staircase occasionally, as well as middle sections of the ship. So it was a pretty big deal. Cameron also had to coordinate everything. I mean, they had actual historians on set doing all kinds of stuff. So it showed, I mean, you know, making sure that they got all the lifeboats that were being launched accurately and stuff. And he had to make tough choices about what he was putting in the film, because he was intercutting between the love story with the real story of so many people that were on the ship, which is kind of an interesting thing. And, you know, the story about the woman who took her children back to her quarters and sung them, and, you know, basically gave them a story before they died when the ship finally went down, which was played by an actress who's been in Cameron's film. She played Vasquez in Aliens, and the foster mother in Terminator 2. So she gets around, and she was an incredible actress. You know, if you didn't know who she was, or you didn't, you know, pay attention, you would think it was a different actress in each one of those roles. So good job, miss. Really good job. You really sold it well. Even the Irish accent. You know, and I forget where the big piece came from that's currently here in Las Vegas at the Luxor Casino. But as you can see, I've gone through a lot. Even though this is supposed to be flat, it's still very glossy in my opinion, which kind of sucks. I don't know what's wrong with my paint. So there's that. Um, like I said, I still got a lot of work to do on the model. Um, and I kind of haven't touched it in a while. I've been a little afraid, mostly because I just haven't had time. Um, it still gets to you because this ship was such a thing. And as you can see here, we have the lifeboats. We have two of the collapsibles that were up on this deck. And you have to remember, so many things we saw in the film were actually based on real stuff. The story about Ismay basically saying to the ship owner, Ismay saying to Smith, sorry, the ship owner, we'll beat the Olympics record, and basically like goading him into doing it. The woman who actually reported that is seen in the background if you look very closely, and they did cast much of the cast of the historical people to look like the real people. But there was so much more. I'm going to cover something real quick. I can't believe she keeps doing that. Which is believe it or not, the more what I would call it a little trivia and both also a little creepy things about the Titanic. Remember, they had 2,200 souls on board. The ship actually had the capacity for over 3,000. Believe it or not, I'm not making this up. Over 3,000. Thank God it was not filled to capacity. Thank you, God, for that. But the first one is that there was an actual Japanese citizen on the ship. He was coming to America to, I believe, also eventually make his way back to Japan, and he was one of the survivors. The thing was, he wasn't like some of the survivors who, one guy in particular, had gone down a rope to, because he was a yachtsman, and he also knew how to deal with ropes. And he untangled a rope that was going to get this lifeboat stuck on the ship with a bunch of women and children on board. He survived because he fell into the boat while he was trying to come back up. And they actually found his wallet in the debris field years later. So they found that out, and it was actually pretty good. So there are things like that to consider. Then, of course, there was I believe there's a story about a dog from the captain who was rescued, who actually did some things. I don't know how true that is or not, but it was pretty cool. But then there's a couple of creepy ones. First of all, as you know, Armis Titanic is the company that's recovering pieces from the ship. They can't recover anything physically in the ship at this point because of the salvage laws and stuff. But anything that's outside the ship or on top of the ship, they can take. And some of the stuff they brought up, including coal and stuff, has actually been reported to at many of the excavations, like one here in Vegas, and I think there's another one. I can't remember what it was. I think it's in Georgia or something. Has been reported to be very haunted. There's even a person who bought a piece of coal and took it home, and apparently she encountered what she described as a ghost who was revealed to be part of the Black Gang. Those were the boiler people who were in the boiler rooms right around this section of the ship, and the description was very accurate. So it made some sense. One other tale is the story of, I forget her name, I think it was Mary. I could be wrong, I haven't seen the information on that for a while. But she's in this hotel in New York, and she was waiting for her lover to come back, who was on this ship, and he didn't make it. He was one of the casualties, and she came back. She was devastated. She was crying. She was inconsolable, and she unfortunately took her own life. Believe it or not, her ghost has been seen since at that same hotel, and it's been pretty tragic. And even people from Hollywood, by the way, we're talking actual serious professional and successful actors, have reported seeing her ghost, and it scares them to death. And then they find out about the Titanic, and it's kind of a scary thing. The last one I want to talk about is what I call the it's called the Wreck of the Titan novel. Now, this is kind of special because a man named Morgan Robinson wrote a book which is called by several names, Futility, Wreck of the Titan, Titan, and Futility, Wreck of the Titan. So it's got like a bunch of titles. And it was a story about a ship called the Titan, which set out in April struck an iceberg on the same side. The length of the ship was about, I think, 20 meters shorter than the Titanic, so maybe about to here. It was a little bit more sail-oriented type of ship, but still one of the most largest, massive, and most beautiful ships on the sea. Sunk in about 2.5 hours with half of its passengers, pretty much the same crew complement and death total on the ships. And here's one thing that gets it a little creepy about this novel and the book, and it's also something that I don't think most people know about, is that it was only the press that dubbed the ship here unsinkable. The shipbuilders and the ship company actually were more along the lines of calling the ship practically unsinkable. They still admitted that if certain things were done to such a degree, or she sustained such heavy damage, or she went down in a major storm, the ship could still sink. It was called practically unsinkable, but the press dubbed her unsinkable, like flying in the face of God. And a few of the survivors actually said that their relatives said that. The book has the same term. The ship was referred to as practically unsinkable. And I believe, because I've actually read the book, believe it or not, it took forever to get a copy because it's out of print. I had to go to the local library, and I had to wait almost a month to get my hands on the novel to read it. And it was like reading an account on this ship. That's how spooky it is. And you're like, wow. Even the author later admitted he was shocked before his death. He lived long enough to actually see the sinking and stuff. So you can tell that man was probably also spooked. And the book is almost impossible now to find. I think it's a collector's item. There are a few websites I think you can go to read excerpts and stuff. And the version I read was just in short story form. And the ship sinking and so forth is just the first part of that novel. So, it's pretty terrifying. So that's my review on the movie. It's a pretty quick one, but I don't really want to spoil too much about what's going on. I really do think you should watch it. And you have to remember that, for 1997, Cameron did such a great job with what he knew about not only the sinking, but also many of the historical characters and stuff and the people. This is a great movie. I do recommend you watch it. Cameron even apologized, by the way, for the thing with the first officer, so when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about in a certain scene. But it was an amazing film. And I'll probably review, maybe, I don't know if it'll be this year, maybe next year, will be The Ghost of the Abyss, which I kind of count as a sequel to this. But I have to say this, guys, they did a great job. They really, really did a great job, and this movie is so great. And both versions of this movie are fantastic. I highly recommend you check it out. And stuff. So please leave us like, subscribe, your own thoughts on the ship in the comments below. And I'll see you guys later. And please have a moment of silence for the ship's crew and passengers who did not make it. See ya.